This is after washing a full car with Optimum No Rinse. Hey guys, Anthony with the Rag Company, and in today's video, we're going back to the basics where I'm going to show you how to rinseless wash your car at home. And before I jump in and show you how to properly rinseless wash a vehicle, I should probably cover the actual basics. What is a rinseless wash? Who is it for? So a rinseless wash, it's partially a product. There's actually products called rinseless washes, but it's also a technique that you have to use in conjunction with the product. So combined, it creates, hopefully, a perfect system for a clean vehicle. Now, a rinseless wash is typically going to be a polymer or surfactant-based product. We're taking water and we're mixing in this product, and that product now just becomes our everything cleaner. And then we use that, and then we just dry it. There's no rinsing at the end. A rinseless wash is ultimately going to be a product used for people who have water restrictions or are simply wanting to clean their vehicle using minimal amounts of water and maybe an unideal environment and be left with a clean vehicle done in the safest way possible. So we probably need to talk about what you need to actually do this rinseless wash. So let's wheel in a cart with all of our products and get to the basics. Here on the table, I have everything that I'm going to need for a basic rinseless wash. Below me here, I do have a bucket, just a standard bucket. Ideally, a 3 to 5 gallon bucket is what I recommend for a rinseless wash, especially if we're doing a larger vehicle like this, where I'll probably be utilizing upwards of 5 gallons in total. And really, once you fill up the bucket, that's generally everything that you're gonna need for the full wash. Now, next up, I also have a sprayer. So this is an IK Multi Pro 2. This is just a standard liquid sprayer that is a pump sprayer. You can also use a trigger sprayer if you want to use a trigger sprayer, but for this, I'll just be using the pump sprayer. This is nice because this is going to lay down our pre-spray product. And I'll touch up on pre-spraying here in a little bit, but that's an important step that I like to use when it comes to rinseless. Now, we're gonna have a couple towels here. These are the Creature Edgeless 420s here. So these are just a standard all-purpose microfiber towel. These do have a dual pile design, longer side on one side, shorter on the other. These are going to be used probably for some wheel cleaning, door jams, or just some random cleaning in between. So I always recommend having just a stack of all-purpose towels that you can use along with your rinseless wash. Next up here, we have the creme de la creme, the OG, the standard of which all rinseless wash chemicals are based on. Optimum No Rinse. This is the originator. This is the OG. Next up here, we do have a couple other products. Now, to pair with your rinseless wash is going to be a wash media of some sort. For this wash, I'm going to be using the Ultra Safe Sponge, which is our sponge. And you're probably thinking, a microfiber company making a sponge? Is this blasphemy? No, it's not blasphemy. This is actually a sponge that is designed for rinseless washing as well as soap washing, but really is going to be one of the safest solutions for using something like this. And the reason for it is that a sponge like this is going to have some cuts in it, but it's also going to be made out of a particular type of foam that's going to allow it to hold more of this product to apply to the surface, because we aren't scrubbing with this. We are simply gliding this across the surface and cleaning whatever it may be. But again, this doesn't require a bunch of agitation. We're basically applying this product with this and letting the chemical do most of the work. And so this is what we're gonna be using today. You can also use a towel, a wash mitt. You can use whatever the heck you want to, but this is typically a really fast and efficient tool. Now, below that, we do have the clean screen. So the clean screen from Detail Factory is going to be a wonderful tool. This is what's going to add that extra layer of security to your wash, because we're going to be dunking back into that bucket quite often, right? We are going to be removing dirt with the sponge here. It's going to be going down into the solution, and that dirt is going to be in the mixture. Now, we want that dirt to fall below the clean screen and not come back up. So every time we dunk back in, we want to make sure that our wash media is clean and that the rinseless wash is releasing the dirt from the sponge, so that solution is just nice and crisp and perfect, right? So this is going to be a helpful tool in keeping the dirt and the grit underneath the actual screen itself, and this is simply going to go down into your bucket. So do you actually need this? Well, in my opinion, yes, but could you do a rinseless wash without it? Yes, you can, and plenty of people do. But this, again, is going to be your security to ensure that no contaminants are getting back into your wash media. And that has to do with not just rinseless washing, but just soap and water washing in general. Then, from here, a drying towel. Just a drying towel. This right here is the Rag Company's Slim Dryer. I love this towel. I think it works amazing. I think it feels awesome. And this is really all you need. You don't need a massive, big, girthy drying towel for rinseless because we're not really removing that much liquid. So something like that is absolutely perfect. But that's it, right? This is everything that we're gonna need. That's a lot of stuff I just explained. I hope you caught most of it. Let's go ahead and fill up our bucket with water, and I'll meet you back here at the car.
Are you subscribed to the Rag Company YouTube channel? Because if you're not, you should be. 90% of the people who are subscribed to this channel have cleaner cars. You do the math. I didn't.
So hopefully you didn't fail chemistry class, because truthfully, I did. But guess what? I still managed to make it here today, and I've diluted hundreds, if not thousands, of chemicals at this point. So let's go ahead and talk about the basics of dilution. So we have our bucket here that we filled with roughly about 5 gallons of water. Again, I'm using the size of the vehicle for about the amount of liquid I will need. So if this was like a small Miata, 3 gallons is probably fine. For something like this, 5 gallons is probably pretty necessary. So 5 gallons of basic, normal tap water, nothing special. I'm gonna take my clean screen here, and I am going to set it down in my bucket, and I am going to press that down all the way into the bottom and get that nice and locked in place. So the clean screen is now inserted. So now we have to dilute our chemical. So most rinseless washes have a 256:1 dilution. Most do, not all do, but that's typically the usage for washing, just doing what we're doing here. Now you can dilute rinseless washes for other things, 64:1, 128:1, depending if you're looking for a clay lubricant or a quick detailer or something of that nature, but for the most part, 256:1 is going to be the sweet spot for general cleaning. Now what's cool is that Optimum's cap is roughly half an ounce, right? So when I fill this up, it'll be about half an ounce, and I'll show you here in this little cup. So it's half an ounce per gallon. So for the Optimum, especially with the 32-ounce bottle here, it's easy. I have 5 gallons of water. That's just 5 capfuls. That's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stir it up, and we are done. But if you really want to get crazy with it, you can actually go through and do proper dilutions. I have this right here, so I'll just do, there's my 1. And then I will do 2, 3, 4, 5. If you use too much solution, if you like an extra half a capful, it's not going to hurt anything. If you use maybe less than a half a capful, right, and you under dilute it, not the worst thing ever. But what you don't want to do is glug it in. You want to measure it. You don't want to overdo it, because if the dilution is wrong here, then it may not be the best experience in which it was created for. So we're going to grab our IK spray right over here. This is, again, the Multi-Pro 2. I'm going to twist this lid off here, and I'm going to be left with just a canister. So with 5 gallons in my bucket and 5 full capfuls, I'm at a 256:1 dilution, and I am ready to rock and roll. This is the perfect dilution for my pre-spray. So all I need to do is take this, dunk this here into the bucket, knowing that it's a perfect dilution, fill this up, remove a little bit of liquid to relieve some room for air here, and that's it. I have a perfect pre-spray that is ready to go. Now, if I didn't have a perfect pre-spray, right, if I needed to refill this at any point in time, I could go fill this up underneath the sink and then just do the proper dilution using just a measuring cup, right? So for example, this is roughly 2 liters inside here, right? So a little over 60-something ounces of liquid. So for this, you know, if a gallon has roughly 120-something ounces in it, then I will just kind of do some basic math, cut that in half, and I will go, okay, I need about 1/4 of an ounce inside this sprayer right here. So basically half of this capful to fill this up to give me a decent dilution. All I have left to do is take my Ultra Safe sponge and dunk it in here and get it nice and seasoned and ready to go for my wash. So this is kind of what that looks like once it's fully loaded. I can squeeze this out, and it leaves behind just a beautiful little waterfall. Taking a look here at the paint. This is a dirty car. This is absolutely just covered in who knows? Spots from rain, dirt, we've had road construction, we've had all sorts of stuff. And so this right here is a dirty vehicle and something that I would still consider using a rinseless on. Now, if the vehicle is covered in mud, just use common sense, right? Rinseless washing is very capable, but when I'm just pre-spraying with a sprayer like this, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to rinse off giant pieces of mud or rocks or crazy sediment. So just keep that in mind. I have my pre-spray here. This is going to be my IK sprayer. I'm going to go ahead and pump this up. And I want to show you guys why rinseless washing is different. And it is down to the chemical nature of the rinseless, right? This is a polymer-based product and it has certain properties in which it lands on a surface and it is going to do some really cool chemistry stuff on the surface. So we have dirt, right? And then below the dirt, we have clear coat. The goal of the rinseless is to land onto the clear coat and then find the dirt. It's going to do the job of, the chemicals are going to look for dirt particles and it's going to grab onto the dirt. And then once it grabs onto the dirt, it's going to wrap itself around the dirt and hold it in a nice little cushion, a cushion of the chemical itself. And this is important because when it does that, it's going to keep that dirt from actually touching the surface itself. We're going to go ahead, pre-spray, and start letting the chemical do the work and start grabbing all that dirt and like a bouncer and like wrapping it up and holding it and keeping it from touching the floor. So we're going to go and do this. The magic has already started happening. In each one of these little water droplets, I can actually see that a lot of those surface spots and surface dirt are already starting to kind of lift themselves, right? So I had all these spots that were very apparent, all these dirt spots. Well, what's happened now is most of those dirt spots have turned into perfect beads. This car does have some protection on it, which is a good thing. But I'm looking and I'm like, well, that little droplet captured that dirt. That droplet captured that dirt. That droplet captured that dirt. And what it's doing is now it's holding it in this perfect little bubble here. Now, if your car doesn't have protection, let's just say you don't have beads or anything like that, is this still happening? Yes, it is, but it's happening in more of like a lake effect rather than like an individual droplet, right? So really, you're just capturing a larger surface area rather than these small things just due to the surface tension of the clear coat itself. So we have barely even scraped the surface of using any of this at all, even in just this section here. So we have tons of this left to use, which is awesome. And this is, again, an important part of allowing the product to begin working that dirt. But we need to talk about the environment in which I'm doing this that allows me to be able to pre-spray. We're in a studio. It's a perfect 70 degrees. We literally couldn't ask for a better environment. And maybe ideally, you would be doing this in your home garage as well, where you could create that perfect environment for you. But for most people who are rinseless washing, they are doing this in a driveway, they are doing this in a parking lot, they are doing this in an apartment complex. So when it comes to doing this and pre-spraying, just always try to work ideally away from the sun, or work away from heat. If you're doing this in a really cold area, then maybe try to find sun, try to find area where you can break up the ice or if there's snow or something like that. So what you're looking for is the most ideal situation that you can be doing this in. But if you're a detailer that's mobile and you're doing rinseless washing, set up a sunshade, find areas of shade, try to get at a direct sun. That way when I pre-spray like this, no stress. I can let this sit on the surface. It can dry on the surface. I can walk away. I can go get lunch. And I can do that regardless of whether it's sunny or cold, but it's nice because now I can actually go through and pre-spray the whole vehicle. So you could go through and pre-spray the whole vehicle. If you can't, then you would pre-spray one panel at a time, meaning part of the hood, maybe the fender, maybe the windshield. I am going to, once after I show you this quick demo, pre-spray the whole vehicle. And I'm going to use this and dunk back into my perfectly clean bucket as often as I can to get coverage on the vehicle. If I can't do that, then what I will do is I will use all of this. And then if my bucket is dirty for any reason, then I will just go fill this up with some water and again, throw about a 1/4 ounce of rinseless in it and then keep going. I'm going to do my spray. Now, does it matter where I start on this vehicle? No, not really. Again, I'm just going to be finding the spot where my environment is the best or worst and working around that. So if I have direct sun on this side, I'm going to knock this out really quick, right? And then, focus on the shaded side, right? Get this done and then get the drying done and all of that as fast as I can. So I am going to take my sponge, and how I like to do this is I like to get it to where it's about a third of the way wet, a quarter of the way wet, somewhere around that. I don't want to squeeze my sponge and have this big, heavy, wet sponge, because the second I put that on the surface, all of my wonderful rinseless wash is just going to spill out everywhere, and it's not going to do a good job. And that also means I'm going to lose most of my product, right? That product I'm going to be using for the entire vehicle. So I'm going to squeeze this out. There we go. I have just the amount of product I need. And what's cool is whenever I press, what happens? Whenever I press there, it releases rinseless wash. You can work in straight lines, you can work in circles, you can do whatever the heck you want to do. Different strokes for different folks. But for me, I'm just going to go down here, straight line, come back up, go through, and get this area cleaned off. Again, I'm not applying any pressure. This is like super, super light. I'm just barely grazing the surface. Now, if you're crazy and you want to make sure that you're not getting an area that's too dirty on your sponge, you can then flip the sponge over, let the rinseless drop down to that side, wait for those drips, and then continue on. And once you've got most of that dirt off, you can do whatever the heck you want to do. You're not going to scratch, you're not going to mar the surface, and it's going to be perfectly safe. So I'll do a hard line here, because then I'm going to dry one side and show you guys what a 50-50 looks like. So I'm going to grab my drying towel. I have lots of rinseless left on the surface. I can just go ahead and start drying it and using that lubrication that's left over and do the dang thing. If I don't have it, let's just say my product has dried or this panel is no longer wet, then I can take my pre-spray and just do a quick little shot into the towel. A damp microfiber towel is going to do a better job at absorbing than a perfectly dry microfiber towel. So you want a little bit of moisture on the surface, because it's going to help with lubrication, it's going to help with the towel gliding, and if you've missed an area, you're going to be able to kind of retouch up that area one last time. So come here for my perfect little 50-50, flip my towel as needed. But now the paint actually feels good. It feels slick, it feels clean, squeaky clean, some might say, and I know that this panel is now good to go. Now that we have one side of the hood done, let's talk about just the general process for this. So what I recommend is always doing all of your horizontal surfaces first. This will help with just general sun. This will also help with just products sitting and drying on the surface. Maybe your hood's warm, things like that. Just get those done first if you can. So how I will typically do this is, if I want to pre-spray the entire vehicle, I can, depending again on my environment. So I can just take my pump sprayer here and I can go through and I can spray and mist everything all the way around the entire vehicle and make my way around there. And then from there, just dunk back into the bucket as needed and then begin my wash. Or I focus on doing one particular panel at a time. Now, again, depending on your environment, you can pre-spray the whole car or just parts of the car, and you should do it as needed. Just remember, you'll probably have to refill this up once or twice, whether it's in your bucket or along the way. So what I like to do is, considering that we are in a perfect environment here, I am going to do a quick pre-spray around the entire vehicle, and I am going to dunk back into my bucket, as my bucket is still very clean, and fill this up one more time. Let's go ahead and do our pre-spray. We're going to get all of our horizontal surfaces up here. So for this, I'm using a step ladder, and I'm going to get up top here on the roof, down here on the windshield. And what I'm looking for when I'm doing this is just coverage. I'm not trying to soak and rinse to see runoff. That's not the goal. The goal is just to get product on the surface as lubrication. So I'm kind of running towards the end of my product. So I'll release my pressure, come over here. My bucket is very clean, right? Now, I showed you guys an example of an application over there, so I guess my bucket could have a little bit of dirt in it, but it's not much to affect anything. So I'm going to come back in here, fill up with my good water, and I will continue my pre-spray and get the rest of the vehicle covered. Now this should probably do the rest of it, and then before I jump into the wash, I will be doing one more dunk in here, getting myself set up with some fresh liquid so I can do the wheels at the end, right? So just kind of thinking how to utilize every last drop in that bucket to where I'm being efficient. So pumping this up, we have coverage over the entire vehicle. Nothing is going to dry up on us. We are in a controlled environment, so we're good to go. Again, this is one way to do it. Otherwise, I'm doing a panel at a time or as needed. So coming over here, let's go ahead and get started on the roof. So take our sponge. For this, I kind of want about a third of the way full. I want to make sure I'm not going up and down this ladder constantly. I'll come over here to the side and I will begin applying my Rinseless. Big vehicle, Jimmy. Told you. I only wash two-door coupes and convertibles. When you're done with the panel, you're probably like, well, what do I do with the sponge while I'm moving around? Or do I just hold on to it the entire time? You can just throw it back in the bucket and that can live in there. It's not gonna hurt anything. It's actually good for it because it's gonna release dirt if there's any dirt in the sponge. This is your home base. Everything that you do in a rinseless wash is coming back to the bucket. Now, a bucket on casters is great because now you can bring home base with you wherever you go. I'm gonna go on the other side of the vehicle here. I am going to push this around with me. What you don't wanna do though is set your sponge down on a workbench and a pile of leaves on the ground. Don't ever put your sponge on the ground. Your sponge needs to go on something safe, and something safe is the bucket with the liquid in it that you're using to wash. So just kind of keep that in mind here. We're gonna move my home base right over here, set myself up, and then I will come right over here actually, and I'll knock out this side of the windshield. Cool, so you guys kind of have an idea here. I'm going to finish up with the roof, I'm gonna finish up with the hood, and I'm going to meet you guys on the side of the vehicle next. Taking my sponge here, again, squeeze it out to about a third. Our dirtiest areas are going to be our lowers, right? So basically this bottom line here and below is where all that dirt is and stuff like that is going to accumulate. So how I like to do this is, again, working from top to bottom. I'll knock out kind of my upper section of the vehicle first, make my way all the way around, get this all cleaned, flip my sponge, glass next, glass and trim. And this is nice because I'm not going one panel at a time. I could do it. I could go this, this, and this, and be working from top to bottom. But what's going to be happening is I'm actually going to be picking up a lot of dirt at the bottoms. So I'm saving my entire bottoms for last. So I'm going to come here, again, knock out my glass, knock out this upper portion of the paintwork that I know is going to be cleaner. And then from here, I will find a good spot here on the door as my kind of cutting off point. So I think, personally, probably right here, top of the tire and running across. So that's something you can do on pretty much any vehicle, is just find where the top of your tire is and then draw your horizontal line across. Right there, right? That's where your cutoff point is, right? So if you ever get lost, so we'll come here, apply the Rinseless, get underneath the handles, and I'm going to the top of my tire, right there. And I can start making my way around to the front. So when is the appropriate time to clean at that tire line? When do you approach that? Well, I can save that for the very end of my wash if I want to do that, right? Because that's really the only area where there would be risk involved with picking up contaminants. So I can do that at the very end when I clean the back hatch, right? So I can say all my dirty areas are left for the very end. You can do it like that if you want to do it like that. Or if you feel confident and you know you've been set up perfectly with, let's just say, a clean screen in the bucket, you've got yourself, a good sponge, you've got yourself a good Rinseless, you can just go straight into it and it'll be just fine. So for that, what I'll show you is if I grab, again, I got a lot of that, I got a whole full thing of this. It's like pure gold. So I'll come here and I see it's kind of dry just a little bit. I can just go ahead and just do a quick little spray on the lowers, just freshen those up one more time. Done. And then knock those out right now. And this is the safest way to possibly do this using just the one chemical. So I'll come here, again, clean that dirt line, flip the sponge as needed, try to work from top to bottom, dunk back in as needed, come back here, knock out my lowers. Now, do I feel comfortable putting this back on the paint? 100% I do, because I have minimized the amount of dirt buildup in my sponge by pre-spraying one more time. I dunked often, and I have a clean screen in here to prevent that dirt from going back up into my sponge. Like if you look, this liquid, that has washed half of the vehicle. I see a piece of lint. All of that dirt is below the clean screen. This is all fresh, crystal clear liquid. So I'm gonna knock out the front bumper, I'm gonna knock out the other side of the vehicle, and I'm gonna knock out the rear hatch. And then I'm gonna do this again. I wanna show you if this is still clean due to this process. And then with whatever we have left here, we will be knocking out the wheels. So let's get these fronts and rears and sides done, and I will meet you guys back at the wheels. The rear was just finished up. So this is my sponge. I have about 2 gallons left of water inside here. Can you believe that? 2 gallons after filling the sprayer 3 times and washing. I mean, this is a decent sized vehicle, right? I would actually probably have more liquid left in my bucket than I would if I had a soap and water wash dunking in a big wash mitt. So taking a look here, I'm done with my sponge, so now I can actually set this aside. So I usually will let this dry out, squeeze out all the liquid. So what I wanted to show you is, taking a look here, I've now washed the dirtiest parts of this vehicle, and my liquid is still relatively clear. I'm actually going to get my measuring cup and show you guys. I am not making this up. I have not refilled this bucket at all. I mean, good enough to drink? I probably wouldn't drink it, but I wanted to show you guys that this is after washing a full car with Optimum No Rinse. All the paint has been done except for the wheels, and that is how clear my liquid is. At this point in time, we still have about 2 gallons left, right? So I could jump straight into the wheels if I wanted to, but I have product left on the surface that is probably going to start drying. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the IK sprayer that I still have good liquid in, and I'm gonna do just a very quick final, just kind of post-wash spray. And this is gonna take me just 30 seconds to do. And then I'm gonna take my drying towel and dry off the paint first, the glass, all of that. And then once everything is dry, I will save my wheels for the very, very end and utilize what's left in these 2 gallons here that is still very clean. So let's grab the sprayer. Now what I'm noticing though is I'm seeing a couple spots. Oh no. Are those water spots? Are they gonna be there for forever? No. So any spots you see, any spots where this product, a rinseless wash, will typically dry, that is known as a polymer spot or a surfactant spot. It's essentially the residue of the chemical material with the water that has dried up. And what you're seeing is the evaporation of everything that is liquid and what's left of the chemicals and maybe a little bit of the minerals, right? But those minerals and that chemical will not leave behind a permanent spot. It can't. Chemically, it has such a barrier in between it that it cannot penetrate the clear coat like you think it could maybe with like a normal hard water spot. So any of these spots behind will simply disappear as we wipe them and re-wet them. So re-wetting is an important part of this. So that's why I'll take this, I'll go through, willy-nilly, spray off one side of the vehicle, and that's it. We're gonna start drying. So I'll just show you guys here on the glass here, kind of what this looks like, because this is nice and clean. And then I will examine my work. Those polymer spots are gone. It is streak free. It looks amazing. The clarity is great. The feel is clean. And I just need to do this on the rest of the vehicle. So let's go ahead and dry off this side, dry off that side, dry off everything else, and I will meet you back at the wheels. So here we are. We have neared the very end of our wash. Now we are just left with maybe some dirty wheels and some dirty, fender well liners, and that's pretty much it. I have microfiber towel here. I have the Creature Edgeless that I showed you guys earlier, 70-30 blend, all-purpose, just microfiber towel. That's good for just about anything. I have about 2 gallons left inside my bucket of my rinseless wash that is still very clean. You guys saw earlier. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to dunk this down into my bucket. I'm going to squeeze out my liquid here. And I had 4 of these towels, right? I didn't use those towels for anything else. I could have used it maybe for the grill. I could have used it for some other spots, but I didn't. I just used this for the wheels. So taking my towel here, wringing it out, making sure to soak it up full of all that delicious O&R. And I am going to just set this right here while it's damp. and then come over here to my wheel. Now, I still have 3/4 full of my sprayer, and that is after drying the vehicle. That is after pre-spraying the lowers there. So I'm just really mindful about how much product I'm using, and I still have so much left here, enough for all the wheels, for sure. Another question people might have is a rinseless wash capable of safely lifting brake dust and actually really doing a good job of cleaning? The answer is yes and no. There is limitations to what a rinseless wash can do. At the very least, it can offer lubrication for physical agitation, meaning that my towel will be the remover of the contaminants in the dirt. And if it's soaked, it should do it safely without scratching anything. Otherwise, I would be heavily relying on, you guessed it, other chemicals, wheel cleaners, tire cleaners, and brushes, right? To chemically lift that and then agitate it and do all that. This, I am focusing on the lubrication, a little bit of the science, and a little more of the agitation. So I've pre-sprayed this. I'll get my tire, and then what I'm also going to do, I'm going to do that inner side of that fender well right there. Oops, got a little bit on the paint, not good. I'll come back and wipe that down, but I'll go through and just kind of do that. So if I have 4 of these towels, and I'm planning on using just one of these for this entire wheel, tire, and wheel well, I need to use this thing, and I need to abuse it. So I'm going to go ahead and fold it into 4ths, find a nice high pile side, and I am going to start cleaning my wheels. Just go through, get all of that brake dust off there, get all that filth off there, and then fold your towel as needed. So don't be afraid to fold the towel. That's why we're doing it with the towel. I can fold it, go through, and keep going. Now, with the towel, I'll have 8 different sides that I can use for this whole process if I want to, without even having to dunk this back into the bucket at all. And that's pretty cool. So, go through, get inside there, get inside here. Again, flip it as needed. Because this towel will be dirty. This towel will, for sure. But I'm going to use it in a way where I'm making use of the chemical and the amount of sides I have to clean. So go through, get here, bottom of the spoke there, and make sure I've done a good job. At this point, I have a decision to make. The decision is, do I take this towel and dunk it back into my bucket? It'll probably dirty it a little bit more, but I can do that and go back for more lubrication as needed. Or have I done a pretty good job of cleaning this with like 4 sides? I think I've done a pretty good job. I think I feel pretty confident in my cleaning. I think I missed a couple spots here, but I can come back through with my drying towel or a dry version of this and maybe a little bit more product and clean that up. So what I'll do here, won't dunk it, but I'm going to fold it to the short nap side right here like this, and I am going to make a ring around the tires. Now, this is not going to be in place of a tire cleaner. This is not going to do the same job that a tire cleaner and a brush is going to do. It's just not. It's not possible. But I'm going to knock off most of that surface muck and at least get them looking a little bit better. So now that I've done that, then I will flip my towel again. I have a couple more sides left. Come through, and I'll knock out that inner fender well. This towel is done. I do not need that towel anymore for now, so that can go into the wash later. So now I will swap out with a clean dry version of that towel. And this could be my final touch towel. This could be, whatever I want to do some final touch finishing. So since it's clean, I will go ahead and mop up some of that leftover liquid I oversprayed. Get that cleaned up, and then go through and dry my spoke off. So use it again as my drying aid, last kind of touch-up towel. And I guarantee you that these wheels are actually going to be looking pretty good. Wheels look clean. Now, the barrels. Some people ask, what about the barrels? Well, this is the difference between a quick rinseless wash versus maybe upwards of a detail, right? If I wanted to go through with this towel and reach into the barrels, I could absolutely 100% do that. Probably wouldn't be very comfortable. It would still be safe. I could still do it. It wouldn't scratch or hurt anything. It just, again, I'm kind of feeling lazy right now. So I'm going to call it good right here. And I think that this looks plenty good, and most people would be thrilled to have a wheel face this clean with one product. My wheels are clean, my tires are clean, my fender wells are clean. This actually looks really, really good. I'm gonna go through, knock out the other 3 wheels, get those done really quick, and then we'll wrap it up at the end with kind of our final thoughts on rinseless washing, how long this should take you, and some things to note. So we've done it. You have done it. You have learned the basics of rinseless washing, and I promise you, this is one of the best skills when it comes to detailing, period. It's not so much about the product. It is important, but it's also about the technique. They're equally important. You have to use the product with the technique in order for this to be successful. So how long should this wash take you once you get good at it? Well, realistically, I could probably be done with this car in about 30 minutes or less. This size car, 30 minutes or less. A coupe, a sedan, maybe 15, maybe 20 minutes, depending on how much detail you go into. But this is a very fast method, and you can see I have barely used any product. This was a brand new bottle of O&R V6, and again, I only used 5 capfuls in total for this entire process, which is crazy, and only 5 gallons of water, which is also really crazy. And the vehicle looks awesome. So all you need is a bucket and some water and just the techniques I use in this video to have the same exact result. So as always, if you guys love the content and want to see more, please make sure to give us a big thumbs up, subscribe down below for more, and stay tuned for more videos right here at The Rag Company.